everyone, it's Sharana from Pay Or Wait, and today I'm going to be reviewing Killing Eve Season 3, Episode 2, Management Sucks. And so, basically, this episode really deals with the aftermath of what happened at the end of the Season 3 premiere, where we saw my homie Kenny, R.I.P. Kenny, R.I.P. We see that he was thrown off of the building. And so the episode opens up and Eve is outside with a glass of wine in her hand. She's just trying to get like a little cigarette, get her thoughts together. You can tell that she's not having a good day. And she's interrupted by a guy by the name of Paul who asked her, does she drink a lot? And I was like, sir, the nerve. Excuse you? Like, do you feel like it's okay to just walk up to random people and be like, do you drink a lot? Sir, fall back. Okay, have several seats and mind your business. So, obviously, they don't get off to a great start. She goes back inside and we see that she is actually at Kenny's memorial. So this is kind of like a family reunion that we see at the beginning, or a dysfunctional family reunion that we see as Eve ends up running into Constantine at the funeral. I'm assuming that this is the first time that she's seen Constantine since Villanelle shot her at the end of season 2. She also ends up running into Carol, and they have a very odd exchange because Carolyn is trying to talk to her, and then Eve is not trying to have it. She's trying to get out. She's like, I am done. I don't work for you no more. I don't need to talk to you. I don't care. Just leave me alone. And so then she ends up causing this scene. She starts screaming, and I was just like, ma'am, oh, there's always a time and a place for these things. And Carolyn, I was just like, ma'am, go grieve your son. Why are you bothering Eve right now? Just let it go. Just let it go. Let her have her moment. I just didn't understand why. So the story that they kind of put is that Kenny jumped off a building. And anyone who knows Kenny knows that this story makes absolutely no sense. However, typically when we get stories like this and Killing Eve, they're typically covering something up, just like what happened with Nico and that raggedy teacher that he was friends with, how they said that she committed suicide as well. So we see this kind of a reoccurring theme, kind of to let us know that there is foul play when it comes to Kenny's death. We just don't know who is involved with it. I think that it's Constantine. I just there's something about this that's not sitting well in my spirits. I think that Constantine had something to do with his death. So we see that Eve ends up getting a visit from Carolyn at her job, because obviously Eve has been avoiding her this entire time. And so they try to talk, and we see that Eve tells her that she thinks that something happened to Kenny, that Kenny was killed. However, Carolyn kind of dismissed her previously when she tried to bring it up. And so as they're having a conversation, she tells her, like, I know Kenny didn't kill himself. And then she tries to get her to, like, come help her figure out who it is. And then Eve politely declines and says, hell to the no, no, no. I'm not doing this anymore with you. And then she shows a kill that we saw in the season 3 premiere. And then she finds out that Villanelle, she is just backing at it. She's killing people. This is kind of like that final card that Carolyn wanted to play to really get Eve to say yes to helping her find out who killed Kenny. But even that, she was just like, no, I don't want nothing to do with her anymore. I am done with MI6. I am done with Villanelle. I'm going to live my life and go on about my day. So we see that after Carolyn leaves, Eve kind of has a reaction. She ends up throwing up. Clearly, this has startled her. It's kind of shaking her to her core, the fact that Villanelle is alive. Even though I'm sure she thought that Villanelle was alive because she shot you, girl. Like, I know you thought she was alive. So I guess what is it seeing her picture? Do you think that is more so that she's been alive and she hasn't tried to contact her this entire time, or that she might find out that she's actually alive? I'm not sure, but Eve was just like a little bit too much shook up than what I thought she would have been when Carolyn showed her the photo. So we see that she's had Kenny's phone this entire time. So she picked up Kenny's phone off the desk in the season 3 premiere. And so she's been trying to get into it. And then she starts getting all these phone calls and text messages. And it turns out to be Paul, who happened to be Kenny's boss at the newspaper. And then this is how they kind of meet up once again, because they're trying to investigate what happened to Kenny as well, because they know that something is up. So she goes to the office to see them, and she asks for his laptop, or the files on his laptop, in exchange for the phone. And so they kind of come up with a deal, trying to figure out like how we're going to make both sides happy so they both can investigate what happened to Kenny. But we find out that Kenny had a little boo thing, okay? Because at the funeral, this girl was bawling, crying. I was like, girl, you act like you done slept with the man. So then when he tell her that that was his boo thing, I was like, oh, You probably really did sleep with Kenny, girl. I'm so sorry for your loss, honey. She was boo-hooing in that bathroom. I just didn't understand because Carolyn's going through it as well. And then Kenny's sister looked like ain't nothing wrong with her. And then we see an odd exchange between Kenny's sister and Constantine, where she says that she's seen him before, that she knew that he was one of her mom's dealers. So that's like this whole new thing that is happening. I'm interested to find out a little bit more about Kenny's sister, why she wasn't a part of MI6 like her brother was. What is the relationship, or what was the relationship between Kenny's sister and him, and also to Kenny's sister and her mother? According to Carolyn, throughout the course of the episode, she been all up on her, and she was just like, back up, give me space. I just don't want to deal with this right now. So we see that Eve ends up going to Carolyn's house towards the end of the episode, and she says she wants to figure out what happened to Kenny. However, we see that there is a magnet on Carolyn's refrigerator. We see that Constantine and Kenny's sister ran into one another once again. He said he was getting a gift for his daughter. However, this ends up being some type of listening device because Constantine is working for someone, and we just have no idea who it is. But I'm pretty sure whoever it is, and if it's the 12 as he told Villanelle towards the end of the episode, then they have something to do with Kenny's death. I'm just not sure what that is. But just as Eve is grieving the loss of one of her close friends, Kenny, one of the only people that she was actually still in contact with given the events that happened at the end of season 2, Carolyn has lost her son. And so we see a different side of Carolyn this episode, as we're used to her calling the shots, really lacking emotion, having really no empathy. And it's interesting because she almost deals with the death of her son in this same way. She returns back to work the next day. Even Paul, see, now I gotta say, like, Black Paul, White Paul, is because why y'all got two characters by the name of Paul? How am I supposed to remember which Paul is which Paul? Ugh. So we see that she shows up to work the next day. I'm looking at her crazy like, ma'am, was there a time jump that I didn't know about? Paul looking at her crazy, the other people looking at her crazy. He's like, why are you here? He tells her, like, you need to take time off. Your son literally just died. But however, she still seems so unfazed by it, because I guess in this line of work, you have to learn how to put your emotions to the wayside and get the job done. And so I think it's kind of interesting as we get into this title of like management sucks, we see that there's still a rift between Paul and Carolyn as to who is the real leader in the room. As she tries to talk, he's talking at the same time. They're saying the same things at the same time. But also too, management sucks for Carolyn, because you can't even investigate what happened with your son. It's a conflict of interest. This is why she needs Eve's help. As well, because this is too close to her, because this is her son. And of course, at work, they're not going to allow this investigation to happen, especially since he wasn't a part of MI6 anymore. So it's interesting to see, even though management sucks really deals with Villanelle's storyline, which we'll get into a little bit later, that we see that Carolyn is struggling with this as well. And so we see that she goes and asks Audrey some questions about Kenny. She asks her boo thing, kind of has a conversation as to like what was going on with him. You know, does she think it was suicide? And then we see like she just has this random moment after they tell her basically you cannot come into work. You need to mourn the death of your son. She's just sitting in the car, eating a sandwich, listening to music. She's really dealing with this in a weird way, but you can really tell that it's really beating down on her, because by the time that Eve actually gets to her house, she just looks like she just can't take anything else anymore. So I think it's interesting to like see how Carolyn is affected by her son's death, because even though it seems that Kenny hated his mom the most times, they really only had each other. And even how she reacted to Carolyn, to Carolyn's daughter, Carolyn reacted to her daughter when she's like, can you do that thing where you close your eyes and breathe? And then she was like, you mean sleep? But she was like, yeah. I said, ma'am, really? Like, that's what you could have just told her. Can you go mind your own business? You see, we're trying to have grown-up conversations. Let us do our thing. But I was just like, not do the thing when you close your eyes and go to sleep. I was like, just when I thought I had heard it all, Carolyn just said something else that just made me be like, why? Okay. So I think that with this episode, it felt off in tone, because we have this really depressing, state, because Carolyn and Eve are kind of dealing with this loss. They've lost Kenny. She's lost her close friend. She's lost her son. But then we cut to Villanelle, who is on her task to become a handler. That's what she wants to do. She doesn't want to be handled anymore. She wants to handle other people. So we see that she meets up with Dasha. And so this is where we really get the meat of that management sucks title for this episode too, because we see that Villanelle, this beautiful woman, catches her eye. She's walking down the street, and Dasha's kind of tell her like, yeah, like go have sex, do what you need to do. It keeps you limber, keeps you good at what you're doing. But you can't fall in love with anyone. And so she tries to counsel her like, it seems that you're still not over Eve, even though for the past 2 episodes, Villanelle has been trying to not only convince herself, but convince everyone else that she's actually over Eve. But we know that to be a lie. We can tell that there's something wrong with her. There's something wrong with her because she's a sociopath. But still, we see that Dasha's really trying to get her to understand that she has to make changes. She cannot have obstacles that are in her way. So this also means that you cannot have lovers. But there is a new task for Villanelle in this episode. She is given a new person to help train, okay? Villanelle's going to be a trainer this episode. And boy, was it a weird and just crazy moment of training. So she gets this young kid. She meets him and she's like, are you 10 years old? And he was like, I'm 19. And then she was just basically just emasculating him, just like, sir, you cannot be serious. Like, who have you ever hurt in your life? Who have you killed? And he naming all these people like, I'm hard, I could do this, whatever. And I was just like, this is not gonna work. I can already tell he ain't gonna make it past this episode. And did he make it past it? He sure didn't. So we see that they finally find a common ground with one another when he talks about how he protect the guy that he loved, but however, he didn't show the appreciation or the reciprocation of what he had did for him. And so this was something that Villanelle could actually relate to because she felt like she had thrown it all away for Eve. However, when Eve realized that she made her kill someone for no reason, just for the fun of it, this is what turned Eve off, and Villanelle realized that just love don't live for no more with her and Eve. And so I think that, okay, I was like, okay, well, maybe y'all done found some common ground. Y'all gonna get this together. They get their first mission to go kill someone. They had a kid's birthday party dressed up as clowns. And I was just like, the costumes never cease to amaze me. The costume designer for this season, like even with Villanelle's beautiful, wardrobe that she has, I'm just like, okay, but even with the clowns too, I was like, they're actually beautiful in some like weird way. I just feel mesmerized by her in this clown outfit. And so when she's like screaming and yelling at these kids, I was like, ma'am, can you just be in character for one moment? However, she gives Felix a target to go and handle. He goes in, she goes to check on him, and then it seems like it's taking a really long time because I feel like all of Villanelle's kills is like really fast and quick, like in and out, done, boom, give me my money. So she goes in, this fool wrestling with him, you hear all these noises, it's blood everywhere, it's all messy, and then I was just like, she looking at him like, sir, what are you doing? Like, this is a mess. And so they fighting back and forth, and then Villanelle, she just like, forget it. She not only shoots the target, but she also kills Felix at the same time. Villanelle, you cannot keep killing people. How many handlers have you killed? You trying to be a handler now, then you gonna kill your trainee, you gonna kill your new recruit, the first recruit you got? What are you doing? I just don't understand. So she ends up killing him, and so then she comes home, and Constantine is waiting for her when she gets upstairs. She, of course, has a really not so pleasant reaction because the last time they met, he left her. He kind of turned on her at the same time, even though he kind of helped her towards the end. And so she ends up throwing stuff at him. She's kneeing him, and she's like, you do not have the courtesy of just showing up at my place unannounced. Like, we do not have that relationship anymore. You need to knock, call, do whatever you need to do. But what you just did right now is pure, plain and simple disrespectful. And so they end up having a conversation, and he ends up telling her that Eve is alive and that he's still working for the 12. And yeah. And then we just see Villanelle, she was living her best life. She was all happy and stuff. And as soon as he told her that, honey, you saw the life leave Villanelle from her face. And she was just like shook, like, no, she is not dead. And he was like, she's very much alive. I just talked to her a couple of days ago. So I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if this is going to reignite Villanelle's obsession with Eve, even though it's still there, but she thought she was dead. So it's not like you can envision killing to get close to her again, or that you're actually going to see her. But I really want to see how things change with the fact that she has this information that she's alive. And also too, what was Constantine's ploy or play, you know, for telling her? Because we're assuming we see him get into a car, he's working for someone, we're assuming that it's the 12, and they want him to stay on his assignment to now watch Eve because they know that Eve is investigating what happened with Kenny. But I don't know if he tells Villanelle this in order for her, he knows that she will secretly keep tabs on her. I don't know what his intentions are, what is going to happen. Does Eve even want anything to do with Villanelle? What is she going to do when she actually ends up seeing her? I don't know, but I am totally here for it. But as far as how I felt about this episode, I was very underwhelmed by the episode, you guys. Really, if it wasn't for Villanelle in the clown costume and her whole thing with Dasha and then Felix, I don't know if there was anything like eventful that actually happened. This really felt like a filler or a setup episode to show how Constantine and Villanelle come back together, to show how Carolyn and Eve come back together. But I don't know if this necessarily needed to be a whole entire episode. But I am very interested to see the connection with Kenny's sister, because I feel like she knows a lot more and does a lot more than what we actually know about her character. So I'm actually just excited to get to learn what she's about. But I really hope that they kind of up the ante with these episodes, because we're 2 episodes in and I'm just like, you guys, no more fillers. We got to have stuff happening. I don't know if they thought that Villanelle figuring out that Eve is alive, that was enough, but it wasn't enough to save me from this episode. I was just like, no rush. Just like it was like no rush to do the review, because it was just, I wasn't feeling the episode. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Did you like this episode? Did you think it was a filler? Do you like this more than the season 3 premiere? Let me know in the comment section. But those are my thoughts on Killing Eve season 3, episode 2, Management Sucks. As always, my name is Sharonda from Pay Your Weights. And if you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit the notification bell. And I love you guys 3000. I'll see you soon.